office supplies, printer, assistant, or even a VA, furniture, appliances, maybe a payroll coordinator. We're gonna focus on the startup costs and roughly calculating your first 6 months of expenses. Hey, and welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Preston and I'm a professional recruiter in the technology industry. So in this video, I'll be breaking down in detail the different startup costs to consider at the beginning of your recruiting journey, especially if you're working for yourself. I'll also detail one way you can plan for the expenses during the first 6 months in business to make sure you are on track. Please consider like, subscribe, click a bell. It really means a lot to your fellow recruiter. Financial planning is one of the, if not the most important part of starting any business, and a recruitment agency is certainly no exception. Of course, this is a complex subject with many layers, and I could spend hours and hours talking about it. We don't have hours, so I'm going to do my best to break it down as simply as possible for any independent or solo recruiter so you can really have a good idea of where to start. In this video, we're going to focus on the startup costs and roughly calculating your first 6 months of expenses. As I've mentioned countless times, one of the many great things about recruiting is its flexibility. With this in mind, it's important to note that startup costs can vary drastically depending on your needs and the type of operation you are running. While starting a recruiting agency can certainly be significantly cheaper compared to other types of businesses, you should start by considering your specific needs. There are a wealth of fantastic resources out there for learning about recruiting and starting a recruiting agency. When it comes to startup costs though, there's only so much you can learn from others' experiences. This is because every recruiter and agency is unique, and even if they share the same industry, there are so many variables that can affect the startup cost. That's why you should take the time to think about your specific situation and needs when developing your initial budget. You want to avoid setting a budget before you start because you risk limiting yourself. You want to make sure you've considered everything so you don't find yourself coming up short. You come first. So considering this, when developing your budget, start with the most important thing: you. The first 6 months of a new business aren't always easy, and you need to make sure you can maintain a healthy lifestyle and support yourself even before you start to see a profit. You want to ask yourself, how much money will you need to cover your regular personal expenses? Obviously, don't go overboard. You may need to cut down your trips to the bar, going out with friends, or even to the mall a few times a month. Consider just the important things: bills, loans, rents, mortgage, groceries, medications, and anything else you can't go without. This will be the starting point for your budget.
I don't need you! I don't need anything! Except this!
After you've determined your personal budget or your monthly overhead, you can move on to considering your business finances. I find that it's best to split these up into two broad categories. The first is initial startup costs. These are the one-time investments you'll need to establish your business at the very beginning of your recruitment journey. And the second is ongoing costs. These are regular expenses you'll have to make in order to sustain your business through the first 6 months and beyond. As we review the typical startup costs of a recruitment agency, I'll do my best to provide some rough estimates or price ranges, but your ultimate budget will vary depending on your industry and region. Also keep in mind that this video will be focused on United States-based recruiters, so we'll be speaking in terms of US dollars. Startup costs. Here are some different startup costs to consider when developing your budget. These are typically one-time payments that help establish your business: tools, supplies, and equipment. So let's start simple and basic. What tools, supplies, and equipment do you actually need to successfully operate your business? Chances are you have some of these already. Can you save money by utilizing them? Is it more effective to purchase a business-related one instead? Here are some examples. You got office supplies, computer, phone, cell phone or landline, printer, furniture, appliances. Exactly how necessary any of these are will depend on the size of your operation and your specialization and your market. If you're starting out solo and working from home, you may not need to spend any money on new tools and supplies. However, if you're planning on maintaining a team of employees remotely or in person, you'll likely have to invest in some additional equipment for them. Brand identity and promotional material. I've compared recruiting to sales countless times in the past, so it should come as no surprise to my regular viewers that both require compelling promotional material in order to be successful. Depending on your experience with graphic design and even advertising, you may be able to tackle this part yourself. At the very least, I recommend designing an attractive logo and printing out some business cards, maybe if you think they're needed in your particular industry, which can be done for as little as 50 to 100 bucks. However, you also might consider hiring a designer and utilizing their expertise to help craft a compelling promotional and brand identity. This will likely be much more expensive, anywhere from 30 to 75 bucks an hour, or up to $1,000 or more per project. If you do hire a professional, see if they made other website development and maintenance services. We'll cover web design, hosting, and other ongoing costs in just a moment. Registration fees. So in the United States, not all businesses need to be registered. For instance, if you conduct business under your legal name, you don't need to register at all. However, applying for a business license and setting up as an LLC does come with some tax benefits and liability protection. It protects you from personal liability if you're sued, for instance. If your business is an LLC, partnership, or even a corporation, you will likely need to register with your state, especially if you have a physical presence, you host in-person meetings with employees and clients, your employees work in the state. The price of getting a business license can vary from $25 to $300 depending on your specific situation and state. And the same goes for establishing an LLC, which can range in price from $15 to $500. Ongoing costs. After covering all the one-time expenses it will take to establish your business, you'll need to start to think of some of the ongoing daily, weekly, and monthly and yearly costs it will take to keep your business up and running. This will help you plan for the first 6 months and beyond. Office space. If you're working on a team and in person, you'll definitely need to consider some sort of office space. Depending on the size, location, and amenities, this can honestly range from anywhere between $500 to over $2,000 a month. Make sure you take the size of your team into account and also consider a separate area for meeting with clients and candidates if you need to. Salary. We've already covered the money that it will take to sustain your lifestyle and regular expenses during the first 6 months of operation. This is effectively your salary. But what if you employ other recruiters and team members? You want to take their salary into account as well. Aside from additional recruiters, here are some other types of team members you may employ. Receptionist, assistant, or even a VA. They manage everyday paperwork, internal payroll, and client billing. Maybe a payroll coordinator, assists with external staffing and client support. Bookkeeper, assists with payroll and billing, follows up with clients, general accounting tasks. Maybe an operational manager, oversees the office, works on business development. You should expect to pay your employees anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000 a year, full-time depending on their qualifications, experience levels, responsibilities, and the size of your organization. Also, consider things like benefits and other forms of compensation like stake in the company as well. Website and domain. Online presence is important in establishing and maintaining the credibility of your business. Your website provides a hub for potential and current clients to get information about you and your offerings, and also provide a way to get in contact with your team. If you hire a graphic designer or other professional to help develop your brand identity, it's possible they also help web development services as well. If you utilize their services to craft a website for your company, keep in mind you may need to rely on them periodically to update and perform maintenance as your company grows and changes. You'll also want to invest in a unique domain name to host your website. If you want to tackle the website design yourself, there are a number of paid services that offer professional quality designs at a fairly low price. And typically, a domain name is included. Here are some of the popular services out there. Squarespace. So one of the most popular options for building and hosting a personal website, they have a number of pricing options from $16 to $49 a month. WordPress has been around for a long time and has many advanced features, but with higher learning curve. Pricing options range from $4 to $49 a month. Other less common website providers, including Wix and GoDaddy, they offer simpler but less powerful website building solutions. Software and subscriptions. I've covered different subscriptions and software such as Applicant Tracking System, ATS, and Customer Relationship Management, CRM, programs in my previous videos. These help recruiters who manage a high volume of clients and maintain a wide database of potential candidates. There are also paid job websites and other subscriptions to consider, such as LinkedIn Premium, for instance. These programs and services are typically paid for monthly, but can vary wildly in price. It may be tempting to purchase the most advanced ATS or CRM and subscriptions to a number of different job boards, but remember to consider your actual needs. If you're a smaller or one-person operation, a simple Excel document and LinkedIn subscription could be all you need, saving you tons of money and just keeping it simple. Phone coverage. So one of the most important things you'll be doing as a recruiter is making phone calls. So need to consider your needs here too. Landline. For instance, if you operate out of a physical space, you may want to invest in one or more landline phones for the facility. These are fairly cheap and usually around $30 a month. Cell service. If you work solo or with a team remotely, you may be able to utilize your own cell phone. However, you might also consider a work plan for yourself or your employees. Phone plans usually run between $60 to $90 per month per person, and you can get deals if you bundle multiple lines. Internet connectivity. So along those same lines, you'll obviously need a Wi-Fi connection. If you work solo, you can utilize your home Wi-Fi and save money. If you work from an office with a team, though, you will likely need to purchase internet connectivity for the building unless you work out of a co-working space, for instance. The price can vary wildly depending on the location and the size of your budget. Budgeting your first 6 months. Once you determine the resources that you'll need to invest in and roughly how much they cost, you can start to outline a rough budget for the first 6 months. Add the initial startup costs to the first month of your regular ongoing costs for an idea of what the first month will actually run you. The subsequent months will cost roughly the total of the first month minus the initial startup costs. So this just about wraps up this video on the startup costs of a recruiting agency, but there's so much variation depending on your industry and the size of your operation. With that in mind, do you have anything else you want to add to the conversation? I'd love to hear from you. Make sure you leave a comment below. If you like this video and want to see more like it, feel free to click the like button, subscribe, and click that bell. It will really mean a lot to a fellow recruiter. Feel free to also follow me at Preston_Park for more additional behind the scenes content. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.